Tarzan is easily one of the most endearing and long-lasting characters in all of fiction, as he started in plenty of books and movies, and has worked his way into becoming an icon in pop culture. But is it possible that someone could have actually been raised by apes? They could have actually grown up in the jungle, swinging from vine to vine, become essentially a superhuman? I guess what I'm really asking is Tarzan based upon a true story or a real person? I know it might sound crazy, but it might actually surprisingly be true. Now, obviously, there was never actually a John Clayton, who was orphaned in the jungle, raised by apes, battled against ferocious beast, was discovered by the professor and his daughter. That's not what I'm saying. However, it is possible that a man named Lord William Charles Midland is actually the inspiration behind the fictional story. According to a magazine article published in 1959, William Charles Midland was attempting to run away from home, hopping a ship that was on his way to Africa, only to shipwreck along the coast and spend the next 15 years living in the African wilderness. As he ventured into the jungle for the very first time, William stumbled upon a colony of apes who had evidently never seen a white man before, because instead of running away from him, they drew closer and chatted excitedly. Midland later wrote that, for some strange reason, he wasn't afraid of these strange creatures. While they were hideous to look at, they seemed gentle and harmless. After the initial shock of the chance meeting subsided, the apes offered the young man nuts, scrubs, and roots to eat. However, all this made Midland incredibly sick, and he later wrote that the gorillas actually seemed to understand this. One ancient female even hunched her way over to him and cradled him in her arms. From there, William joined the apes as part of the group. Wowing them by fashioning weapons or creating fire, he managed to develop his own form of communication with them, which honestly doesn't sound too outlandish, considering that we know gorillas can learn and speak with us through sign language. From there, Midland eventually left his new family, settled in several different native villages, and slowly made his way up to trading posts 250 miles away in order to find his way back home. So, truly an incredible story. One of those stories that just appears to be too good to even be true. And the thing is, well, that might actually be the case. See, the problem with Lord William Midland being the original Tarzan is that outside of the original magazine article published in 1959, there is no evidence that the guy even existed. Almost every article you see about Midland will cite the 59 article as their source. And while the magazine did publish true stories, it's problematic. There doesn't seem to be any evidence for Midland outside of the story. So it's looking like Tarzan might just be an original creation of Edgar Rice Burroughs. It wasn't based upon one individual story or person. That doesn't necessarily mean there haven't been Tarzan-like people since then. It is the word of Hu Van Lang, a man who since the age of 4 spent 40 years living in the deep jungles in isolation. Now travel back with me to the Vietnam War. The year was 1972, and Hu Van Thanh was just witnessed a US bomb kill his wife and 2 of his children. Not knowing what to do, he picked up his young 4-year-old son, Hu Van Lang, and fled into the deepest jungles in Vietnam, where they lived together for the next 40 years. They built wood houses, raised up high on platforms, gathered water from nearby rivers and lakes, and ate a variety of jungle delicacies like fruit, honey, monkey, snake, lizard, rat, frog, and bats. Lang learned how to fashion tools out of a crashed helicopter and discarded bombs. He's able to catch a bat with his bare hands, fashion clothes out of bark, and has said his favorite meal is a rat's head. Lang lived with his father all up in 2013. When locals found the family, alerted the authorities, they were forced to re-enter civilization, which I'm sure was just a massive shock for Hu Van Lang. Because forget cars, televisions, or electricity, Lang had never even seen a woman before. They didn't even know women existed. His father never told him about them. So while William Charles Midland might not have ever existed, Hu Van Lang does. He's entered back into society and is still living today. And it's just about as close to a real-life Tarzan as we'll ever get.